It's that time of the year again. Sukkot is moving along, and Simchas Torah will soon be upon us. And I want to focus on that word Simcha, because we've been talking about it for all of Sukkot. All Hashem wants from us is to have Simcha. But interestingly, one of the songs that we sing on Simchas Torah has another version, an interchangeable word, that matches with Simcha, but seems to have some kind of a different meaning. And that is, we say, Sisu v'simchu b'simchas Torah. Sisu, from the language of sason, to rejoice. And simcha is this sense of happiness, gladness. What's the difference between simcha and sason? And it's not the only place that we see it. After all, when we are standing under the chuppah, we bless the chasan and kala asher bara, sason v'simcha. Chasan v'kala. So what is sason and what is simcha? The Vilna Gaon Zecher Tzadik Livracha explains as follows. It says, person buys a home and they realize they got a good deal. Took a long time to get their mortgage, but finally they've bought the house. They go to closing. The house is now theirs. They've been given the keys, and they find a contractor who needs to make all kinds of repairs to the house and do some work in order to make the house be livable. So until the contractor is hired, all of the various plans are set, and the contractor says, okay, on this date, I'm going to start working. Until that happens, a person is still, a little bit nervous. Are all the financials going to come in? Am I going to make sure that I get the loans that I need in order to do all the work on the house? And finally, when that day comes, explains the Vilna Gaon, a person has a sense of simcha. A person is happy. Finally, they started to work on my new house. But that's simcha. When the work is complete, when the contractor says, okay, it's time to move in, then a person reaches a level of sason. So simcha is when one starts the project and the happiness one has when they start the project, while sason is the happiness that one has as they complete the project. Which brings us to a question. Why is Simchas Torah then called Simchas Torah? Seems to be that it should be called sason Torah. If sason represents completeness and simcha represents the happiness of starting, so then Simchas Torah should be sason Torah. And when we talk about a chasan and kala who are beginning life together, well, there maybe we could explain asher bara sason v'simcha. Sason comes first because they've reached completion. They've met each other. They are destined for each other. They have to find the simcha, the happiness through their life, but the sense of completion is the fact that they're both standing under the chuppah together. But what about us? Simchas Torah! And here's the explanation. As we complete the Torah, which would be our sason, we begin the Torah anew immediately. We finish V'zos HaBracha, we begin Bereshis. And so while we complete the Torah and there is sason, there is this elevated level of happiness, the simcha of starting the Torah anew is an even higher level. Because Torah is not something that we can ever complete. Torah we are learning more of and we're gaining from every single day that we learn it. And when learning Torah this coming year is not the same as learning Torah last year. We gain more knowledge, we gain more understanding. The more we know of Torah, the more we know about ourselves and our lives. The Torah is not simply a history book. The Torah is our guide as to how to live life. So while there is sason upon completion of the Torah, there is simcha by the opportunity to start again, to gain more, to understand more, to become closer with Hashem by virtue of having a new meaning and new understanding in all of the intricate details of Torah that we learned throughout the year. This past year, we missed a number of different parshios, laning on Shabbos, which is very sad. And we hope that Hashem will bless us, that as we begin the Torah this coming year, He'll bless us, all of Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, with good health, that we will be able to be in our shuls, we'll be able to read every single parsha and become closer to Him by virtue of doing so. so that we can have true simcha constantly throughout our lives, that we can enjoy the sason of completion, but realize that Torah is truly never complete, because the more we understand, the more we grow, the better people we become, the more we are connected to Hashem, and the more that we are able to find fulfillment through our lives. Wishing everyone a Chag Sameach and a true, happy Simchas Torah.